exploring the final frontier, women leading the way in space innovation. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together and welcome to the stage Nandini Harinath, Deputy Director, Spacecraft Operations Area, ISRO Telemetry Tracking and Command Network, ISRO.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be among such distinguished women. I see a couple of men too. Thank you. And when you say space technology, what is that rings in your minds? Rockets blasting off, robots, exploring distant planets, or astronauts swimming or doing a spacewalk. That's just one part of space technology. There's a lot more to space technology, and I'll be telling you a little bit about what ISRO is doing and the contribution of women, especially in space technology. So let me just, for those who don't know, ISRO was started in 1962. There was a church in Trivandrum. It was a very old church, unused building, which they donated to ISRO. And these pictures, I'm sure all of you have seen the famous pictures of rockets being carried on the bicycles and the satellites being carried on the bullock carts. It was way back in 62. ISRO itself was established in 1969, and we had the Space Commission in 1972. So considering that ISRO itself was established in 1969, wherein 1969 was also the year when NASA landed a man on the moon. So we've come a long way from there. So basically we are into we spread all over our country. We have centers everywhere: Trivandrum, Bangalore, Sriharikota. I'm sure all of you have seen the launches, the live relay of the satellite launch that happens from Sriharikota. And the satellites are designed and developed in Bangalore on Old Airport Road, very close to this hotel. And I work in a place called ISRO Telemetry Tracking Command Network, wherein my team is responsible for 24/7 of the tracking and control of all of ISRO's low Earth satellites and interplanetary missions. So, when I just started about saying that space is not just about rockets blasting off, it's the technology itself plays such a big role in our lives that we don't even realize it. None of us step out of our homes without a mobile. We use navigation all the time. We communicating with each other, communication, internet. These are the very, very common things that we are all using day in, day out. But there are many more things, wherein space technology becomes very important, especially when it comes to disaster management. Lot of societal applications which the common man probably is not very much aware. One such example I would give is of the fishermen finding fish using the satellite data. So it's as simple as flying a camera which can detect the chlorophyll from space, and wherever there's green, the fishes are bound to be there. So conveying that information to the fishermen. So this is something, why I really put this slide was to tell you that beyond this, we are seeing something very phenomenal that's going to happen. And we are going to have this manned mission, putting a human in space, and then we're going to have our own space station. It's being called as Bharatiya Antariksh Space Station. And finally, we're going to have a man on the moon, so a moon landing. So And of course, we've had a number of very, very exciting missions. I was one of the key operations person for the Mars Orbiter mission and for the Chandrayaan. So the whole purpose of telling you all this was to say that it's, when you talk about ISRO, there are lots and lots of women who are there at all positions, right from the very young people who have joined to women in leadership roles, women heading projects, women as mission directors. We even have a women a center director, and their contribution has been tremendous. And one good thing I think that ISRO is also doing is, ISRO is also successful not only in its missions like the Chandrayaan and the Mangalyaan, ISRO is also successful in projecting its women at all stages, right? And that's something that I wanted to talk to you about, because at this juncture I see, there's so many leaders in so many areas. We also need to let the country know, let the younger women know that it's not really a very difficult thing, or it's not something that's impossible to be a scientist or be working in such kind of technology. There are women who are doing extremely well. Yeah, so before I actually go on to that subject, I have a couple of pictures on the Chandrayaan landing. This is our satellite, the Chandrayaan 3, and this is the rover that landed. And you can see this, we were the first people to have our own lander landing in the near the South Pole. And this particular lander had number of payloads which brought in many interesting facts about the moon. In fact, Chandrayaan 1 was the first one to find water on the moon, and that set out a kind of race amongst all other agencies to send their satellites to the moon recently. So we've had instruments that, seismographs that measured seismic activity on the moon. We found the presence of sulfur. We found that within a short, a distance of 10 centimeters, there was a temperature gradient of almost 65 degrees on the moon's surface. That kind of told us what kind of material that is there on the surface of the moon. So these are like some of the exciting things that happened in the mission. But going on, yeah, this is like one of the very interesting pictures that we have as the lander was approaching the moon. We had a camera mounted on the lander such that it partly covered the solar panel to say that it is on the satellite, and also had a field of view of the surface. And while we were all in the control center watching the telemetry and the data, the images taken from this camera were relayed to the whole world in real time. Every 4 seconds we were taking a snapshot as we descended from 30 kilometers to touchdown. And even without looking at the data, the world knew that we were coming closer and closer to the surface, because this surface was getting clearer and clearer as we approach. So that was a kind of innovation that happened there in this mission. And like you all know, it landed softly, and then there was a rover which came down from this satellite and went all around the surface. Again, the rover also had number of payloads which collected signs, went all around, covered more than 100 meters, and you could see that, I'm not sure if it's very clear, you can see craters here, and the idea was to go close to the craters, but that's where you have maximum signs, because the craters spew up these materials, and going close to the craters means getting maximum signs from the mission. So there were lots of very exciting moments as the rover went all about the surface. So Yeah, so now coming back to the topic, in Chandrayaan-3 itself, there were lots of women working, and though the project director was a man, Muthuvel, the team constituted of number of women in the leadership roles. I, for one, was responsible for all the ground operations, right from acquiring the satellite data, processing it, displaying it, showing it to the entire world. We had a big team, in fact, and so there has been an increasing number of women working in this area, but it's not, there's one very important question that people do ask. Do you think every time you say there are good number of women, do you think there are sufficient women? So answer is obviously not. We still are a minority, even though there are women everywhere. But I think my take on that is just that, way back then, there weren't that many women getting into the technology as they are today. And obviously, as they climb up, you will have fewer and fewer women. But I think this trend is going to change. But maybe in the next decade or so, we'll see more and more women, because there are more and more women actually getting into this field today. And I have also, by my experience, seen that a lot of women in agencies across the world. We're doing a lot of collaborative projects with NASA and JAXA, for example, even with ESA. And there too, we've seen a lot of women heading projects, heading institutions. So this perception that women are not really, should I say, capable or of taking up these roles, I think that is breaking down now. And I think the goal should be to inspire more and more young women to get into the STEM field. More and more women should be there as role models, so that you have the younger lot taking up this technology, and we have to ensure that we have a place wherein everyone, irrespective of their gender, is free to put up their ideas, and like they said that there's no one solution actually. There's no one size that fits all, but for every woman, and I think every person, even whether it's a man or a woman, the way we look at the work and the commitment and the dedication that we show is what really matters at the end of the day. Yeah. So sky is not the limit anymore. It's just the beginning. And as we look towards the future of human missions to Moon and Venus, we are in fact even planning to have a lunar base on the Moon. We call it a lunar gateway, from where you reach the Moon and then reach to other planets from there. We hope that women are in the forefront to unlock the full potential of space and pave way for more inclusive, innovative, and prosperous future. Thank you so much.
We have a few minutes. If you all want to have any questions for ma'am, you can raise your hand and we'll get the mic to you. We are just getting the mic to you.
Hi, thank you so much. This is a wonderful session. So, is there anything you think ISRO has done differently to have so many women in different levels of leadership? Because not every, let's say, government institution is able to do something like this. So would you say there are certain exceptional policies or structural setups that have enabled this, or it's just completely based on individual interest in extending diversity?
People have asked me this question before. Basically, I think it's the culture that ISRO has. One really, once you're in office and you're in ISRO, doesn't really matter that you're a man or woman. If you're good, you're there. And the fact that that distinction is not made is probably why there are more women who have been given more responsibilities in ISRO, because they're not really looked upon as women or somebody who should be pushed because they are women, or they are treated differently. That is one thing I can think of, that they are not treated any different. So that's probably one reason. And like I said, ISRO has always been projecting its women more than other organizations. I do strongly believe that there are women who are doing extremely well elsewhere too. It's just that we don't know of them much.
I think the lady rightly said that was a fantastic session and I think inspiring as well. Thank you again, Ms. Harinath.